Hello, hello. I am so glad to see
Hi.
you. I am excited again for another chat with you. It's always such a pleasure to get together and talk about things that we're passionate about. Um, so let's just get the formalities out of the way super quickly. For those who don't know me, I'm Alice of Whole Mother Village. Just a woman extremely passionate about pregnancy, motherhood, birth, everything, mom and babies. Um, one of the things that I feel super passionate about is obviously creating a village of support for moms and parents on their journey to welcoming their babies and then caring for them. And the support really comes, it has the same purpose. We all are striving to empower and make our clients feel more informed and comfortable and confident. And the empowerment comes from all different directions. And I think that is really the beauty in building a village of support. And I am so excited to have Stephanie here with me, my wonderful friend and colleague and incredible pregnancy postpartum professional. And we're going to be talking about her passion, which is mindfulness. So, Stephanie, I'm going to let you just do a quick introduction, tell whatever you want about you, and then we'll just get right to it, talking about your, basically, most of all, your amazing new series starting in a couple of weeks, Mindfully Pregnant. So I'm excited.
Okay, good. Thanks, Alice. I'm so glad to be chatting with you as well. But I have to pause you because the coach in me has to say something. You are not just a woman. I want you to know that you are an incredible, amazing woman who has empowered and connected and supported so many other women and helped us to create our own tribes. So please just know that.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
So as Alice said, my name is Stephanie Sagerman. I am a mom. I am a certified wellness coach, certified mindfulness teacher, certified positive discipline parent educator, former like by trade teacher before even becoming a mom. And my passion is absolutely mindfulness, supporting moms to not only live mindfully, but to care for themselves, be compassionate with themselves, and to really build a motherhood and a life that they love. And that stems out of my own postpartum journey, which I'm happy to share about, but I know we've talked about that a lot before. But for me, mindfulness was something that really transformed my whole life. And what's really cool about mindfulness is that we often think about it as just like being in the present moment, but that's just like a small slice of what mindfulness really is. There's so many layers and so much depth to it. And some of the most important life lessons that I learned after becoming a mom have come out of this practice, whether it's self-compassion, learning to trust myself, how to care for myself, having greater perspective, learning how to respond instead of just like, blurt something out, instinctually react, whether it's to our children or our partners, whoever it may be. And they really all are grounded and rooted in mindfulness. So I'm so excited to be here to share a little bit about that. And as you said, Alice, I have a new offering, Mindfully Pregnant, which starts March 31st. And that is just coming out of my own personal journey once again, because I'm actually expecting, I have a little boy who's coming in July, and he'll be joining our family. And did I tell you it was a boy before? Oh, yes, another boy. We're very excited. And I just think about what this pregnancy is like versus my first pregnancy, and how mindfulness has really played a part in that. And so I'm excited to share some of those lessons with moms, whether they are already veteran moms and they're welcoming, another baby into the family, or if this is a whole new venture for them.
Super exciting. I'm like really, really excited. And I think that, we really talked about how really so much of our work and so much of work of women that kind of care for others in this kind of transitional phase, a lot of our work really comes from our own personal experiences. And I think
Yeah.
that's really the beauty of it, that, most of us are really personally involved in, our services and what we're doing. So, we'll talk about, we'll describe the series a little bit later, but I think what really I would love to hear from you is, how specifically, right? Like, what were the specifics? So mindfulness, if you want to share your quick background story of your journey to mindfulness through your postpartum, and then how that has kind of translated, because you've been using your techniques and your mindfulness in your role as a mother, and now in this new role as an expecting mom's going through, like how you, because that's a new kind of layer, right? It's a new level
Yeah.
of mindfulness that you are now applying. It's kind of a different thing. And I know that that inspired you to start this series and share your experience and actually the expertise. I mean, the thing that you're living now, right? With this empowerment of this technique and this practice with others. So yeah, I would just love to, hear how kind of the pregnancies are feeling different, and all of that.
Sure. So, so I started practicing mindfulness after I was diagnosed with postpartum anxiety. So, it's so easy to look back and see everything so very clearly. Um, I hit my low point, and that was when I realized I had to make a change, for a couple different reasons. One, because I was just like missing out on my own life. Like my thoughts were literally like stealing stealing my moments away. But also I realized how my own emotional and mental well, uh, health, I guess you could say, was like impacting other people, especially my son. So when I was 8 months postpartum, that's when I started practicing mindfulness. And when I think back over my early motherhood journey, I can see like the anxiety, starting much earlier than that. And when I think even farther back to my pregnancy, I realized just how anxious I was during my pregnancy. And, it's extremely common for expecting women to be stressed and to have, some certain anxiety, certain level of anxiety during their pregnancy. But it's when it starts interfering, it's when it is just so often and so much. Um, that's when like, hey, this is not, quote unquote, like normal, whatever that is. And when I think back, like I realized that probably what I was experiencing during that time, I probably shouldn't have been experiencing. And I just didn't realize that I didn't need to be, you know? And the more we talk about PMADs, and maternal mental health, like the more that we're realizing that, it oftentimes can start in pregnancy, and really what goes on during your pregnancy and then your birth, all of those things really impact your postpartum, and and what goes on in that early postpartum, that it could impact your whole motherhood, if you don't step in and make a change, you
Absolutely.
know? Um, and so it's amazing for me now to kind of have another opportunity to be pregnant again. And if you had asked me if I would have ever wanted to be pregnant in a pandemic, when the whole world, our stress level is already so high, I would have said like, no way. I mean, I honestly wasn't even sure if I was ever even going to be ready to be pregnant again, just given my whole journey and what kind of transpired. And yet I am so much at peace in this pregnancy. I'm so grounded. I'm joyful. Um, I feel confident. It's like, whoa, this is a totally different experience. And so when I think about what made makes this experience so different, I mean, sure, it's a second pregnancy and there's so much value when you've already had the experience of one, but every pregnancy is different. Things have happened this pregnancy It didn't happen in the last, and I know that this birth will be different. No two births are the same, and no two postpartum experiences are the same. But when I think about, well, what is the one thing that has really changed? It's me,
Yeah.
and it's because of the practice.
That's really incredible. I really, really just super appreciate you talking about your experience, and really also like just bringing in and drawing in the fact the parallel between just not just the stressful phase when we are in we're pregnant and we're getting ready for something that we have no idea what it's going to be like, right? Like tomorrow is going to be different than today. Like every day is so different and so ever changing, but also there's this added stress of the pandemic. So I think that truly, you know, your practice and your teachings are very much needed right now. I think we can say all of us, right? It's like we're kind of struggling. All of us, we're chipping away, we're walking, and just trying to kind of figure it out. And I have been blessed to get to know you and learn from you some wonderful tools. And I really, truly appreciate them. And I try to share them in my classes. Your 3 mindful breaths are my staples. My exercising classes, but I really love them. And I think, little small things, I'm not pretending in any way, shape, and form to be doing your work, but I think that it is a cool opportunity for me to start like sharing that there's just something else out there that maybe would not have come into someone's vision or into their life at all. So I think that's really amazing. So you're feeling grounded, you're feeling really kind of connected with this pregnancy and everything. Is there anything like specific that you feel you are doing now that you weren't doing before, that is a result of your practice? I
Oh yeah.
so can you share like what do you think is the most, I mean, just being like really concrete, right? I know you love affirmations, and yeah, let's talk about them a little bit later too, because I think they're super powerful. But is there like a one single thing that you feel is like your staple? Like someone has like a downward dog as their like little inversion of the day that they feel like that makes them feel really good, right? So is there something that you feel specifically, right? Like a one little tool that just keeps walking with you every day that
Okay, so I was just making a list. Okay, I'm not going to share one thing. I'm going to share a few things. Okay, because I am just, everyone talks about how when you become a mom, it's like that version of yourself before you had this experience, no longer exists in that form. And for me, like, I'm glad, because I just have grown as a person, and I'm just such a more fulfilled, happier, more content person, joyful, peaceful, um, because of what my son and our journey together taught me. But so let me share some things that I am doing during this pregnancy, that are far different from the last. So the first, as I said, is I have this mindfulness practice. So just to kind of like make that very concrete, because I know for some people, even though we hear this word, people are tired of hearing this word mindfulness, right? Because we've heard it so many times during this pandemic. It's supposed to like really save us, right? But for me, to make it concrete, my mindfulness practice is every day, without fail, I am meditating. And, before becoming pregnant, and even at the beginning of the pregnancy, I would sometimes, because as a mom, let's face it, okay, I'm a mom I have an almost 4-year-old. On some days, like all you can muster up is, 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. Maybe there's a day you can get 15 minutes to meditate, but those are like few and far between. So what I noticed was that, I was feeling like some anxiety. And so I was like, oh, okay, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to like tap in to my own toolkit. And so that means that every day, like, I'm meditating 10 to 15 minutes at least, sometimes twice a day. And I personally, I love guiding others on meditation, but I love to be guided as well. So I have like some of my favorites. And I also know that on some days I'm going to be able to really have a peaceful meditation, and other days I'm just going to have that monkey mind, and like that's going to be okay too. And whatever, however it is, I know it's still benefiting me. So I'm doing the meditation like without fail.
Mhm.
That's a promise I made to myself. I'm also throughout the day practicing the informal part of mindfulness, which is like the everyday mindfulness. So for example, earlier this afternoon, when my son and I were sitting in my recliner chair and we were reading, it's like I'm right there. I'm feeling his body on me, the weight of his head against my growing belly, like, but even like the softness of his hand, which to me is still so tiny and so cute. And like, I wonder sometimes, like, everyone's like, wow, it's going to look big when you have a newborn, but like, oh, it's still so small and so sweet to me, and the way it feels so soft. So, I really just bring myself to the present moment. So that right there is like the mindfulness and mindful meditation practice. And I'm doing a lot of other things too. So one thing, and this is like right up your alley, Alice, is making sure that I'm supported. Like, we're not islands. We don't have to do it alone. And that was a huge lesson I learned as a mom, because I was embarrassed to say that I was struggling, that this was hard. And, everywhere I looked, it was like, oh, that person has it together. That person has it together. I don't want to share that I don't. It was very isolating. Right. And now that I have a support network, which, by the way, you don't have to already be a mom to grow your network. You have some really great prenatal stuff. My Mindful Mom Circle, moms come when they're moms to be, they're expecting moms. So like, that's another thing. So I have this really great support, lots of people in my life to connect with and to make sure that I'm supported by. And I'm also like, I do a lot of reading, but the reading that I do pertaining to pregnancy is like very positive, very supportive type of stuff. Like, I'll never forget, I read a book when I was pregnant with my son, and it just said something. It was like, and if you do this, and this happens, you're never going to be able to let yourself, like, you're never gonna be able to forget it. And I'm like, why am I reading this book? Like, this is terrible. Like, I need to make sure that whatever I'm ingesting, whether it's on social media, in a book, on, television, whatever it is, that it's building me up, filling me up, making me feel good, not making me question myself or have doubtful thoughts or whatever else. So I'm very conscious of what I am taking in. I'm also resting, because now I've learned the importance of rest and care, so that was something that, as a new mom, self-care, I really did scoff at it. I mean, I really, really did, Alice. Like, if I'm being totally honest with you, I thought it was ridiculous. I thought, how can a mom possibly have time to take care of herself? When they said, like, sit on the sitz bath like several times throughout the day, I think I sat on that thing 2 times, and did I ever pay for it, afterward, because I didn't let myself heal. I didn't give myself rest. I felt like the world wasn't going to keep spinning if I wasn't involved. So what I've learned is that, you know what? Yes, it will. I can step back. It might not go exactly the way I wanted it to, or planned it to, or would have done it, but I can step back because I deserve to care for myself and to rest. And, there's different kinds of rest. There's different types of care. So I figured out what works for me and how to do it, and to make sure that every day I really do. I mean, I lay down for half an hour every day in the middle of the day. Like, we've figured out a way to make it work, because my body was saying to me, Stephanie, you need to stop. Like, you need to rest. So I've learned how to listen as well. That's something else. Like, how often do we really listen to our inner knowing? It's actually something that I talk about in Mindfully Pregnant, because you have to trust yourself. And to do that, you have to be able to listen, so that's something else. And I also just really focus in on my breathing too. The breath is this powerful tool. You talked about those 3 mindful breaths. Yeah, like, it's so powerful. Yeah, when we can just breathe. It's incredible, when we take a nice, full, purposeful breath. we're sending messages to our brain, like, it's okay to calm down, you're safe. And then the brain sends messages to the body. And you really like, just physiologically, like you can't be like really worked up when you're taking these like deep breaths. It's just like not possible. So, just tapping into all these tools. But Alice, I didn't have these tools before,
Right.
you know? And so I know that you wanted one thing, sorry, but
No, it's
hopefully
great.
somebody's going to say, wow, that one thing is great. I'm going to try that. Or that won't work for me, but maybe this will. So that's it. Okay. Those are my secrets.
I love it. I mean, what, not only this is pretty incredible, but this is really kind of like a raw, just, yep. Sometimes, like, yeah, meditation is not going to be always the what we imagine, right? The beautiful woman,
Yeah.
a, beautiful smelling candle, whatever, right? Like sometimes you're like folding laundry while a 4-year-old is jumping all over you, right? So
Yeah.
it is, I think that is an important part too. And I think you and I have talked about this too, is like, meditation or breathing could be all different kinds of things that serve a purpose, right? That is building you up and helping you get through things. So I love this. And I wrote some of these things down, and I think this is, incredible. I just want to go to breathing because you have definitely set me on a path of thinking about breath, and just start kind of really using it as a tool of just kind of connecting and slowing down and just becoming present in my body. I was just reading a book and something about breath that struck me was that they talk about breath being this incredibly powerful tool, yet it's just something so extremely ordinary. We all breathe, right? Like
Right.
it's just, we like there's this just beautiful quality about breath. It's super ordinary, yet it could be so extraordinary if you
Hmm.
just kind of injected with, either energy or dynamic kind of, breathing or whatever it is. And then another part of what I read about it was that, as a tool, it's incredible because you can kind of take it with you anywhere.
Yeah.
Just thinking like, this is so true. And we definitely take breath as something just, we don't really think about it, right? Because it's just kind of like we do all breathe, right? It's just kind of definition of being alive, but we don't look at it deeper and then don't recognize how powerful it is. And I think like you were talking about connecting with your body and just kind of tapping into your own toolbox.
Yeah.
That's something that I feel very passionate in my Pilates classes and in prenatal postnatal classes, to really try to build the trust in your own body, be able to follow the cues and responses to different maybe movements or breath and things like that. So I think this is really, really important as a tool to kind of explore that. So I love this. I think this is incredible. And I think you kind of went ahead, right, and talked about, in my opinion, a lot of things that I'm assuming are going to be part of your series. So I'm assuming most of the things that you have mentioned, you're going to be trying to share with your moms. So how about just you quickly explain to us what the series is going to be about, how it's structured, and what moms could be expecting to gain from this. I'm sure they're going to be gaining this incredible confidence and happiness that you're exuding. Um, but in terms of like, the tools that they will be able to take away from them, and how long is it and stuff like that, that would be great to hear.
Sure. And before I go into that, I just want to say, you're the breath, you're right, the breath seems so ordinary, but I think that part of the lesson that mindfulness teaches us is like the beauty is in the ordinary, the beauty's in the small moments, right? I think it's John Kabat-Zinn. I was just trying to quickly look it up. I think he said like the little moments, like those are the big moments, or the little things are the big things. And it's so true. Like there are these little things that we just take for granted or we don't notice them. And then when we do notice them, it's like, wow, that really is something that's quite incredible. So yeah, the breath is absolutely one of them. And it's with you, it's always with you. It's the first thing that you do when you're born is take a breath. It's the last thing that we'll do here as humans. And it really is amazing when we can use that to help us. in the moment. So yeah, so I'd love to share a little bit about mindfully pregnant. Yes, and as you said, like those are some of the things that I hope the moms who are joining me, or the moms to be who are joining me, will be taking away from them. And I thought very deeply about what are the most important, most impactful lessons that I would share with another woman. And when I put it to paper, the things that for me were the most life changing, um, were the following: the lesson of self compassion, because I never even heard of this thing before going on my personal journey to health and wellness, through the mindfulness practice. So self compassion and acceptance. You know, it actually kind of reminds me of something that you said a little bit earlier, which is that, there's just stuff that's going to come up, like this whole pandemic, for example. It's very easy for us to try to resist things and to fight things and to like wish them away. It's not so easy to say, okay, like I acknowledge that this just is what it is right now, and so I'm going to figure out how I can like move forward in a way that's going to best serve me. But I think that's part of the lesson of acceptance. So it's not like I don't want anyone to think it's like just taking something, lying down, and like that's it. um it's just this awareness that like sometimes just is what it is. Like this pregnancy just is what this pregnancy is. And I think that then like the birth will be what it is. Sometimes it's not what we envision. We as humans have all of these great expectations, except these expectations often create a lot of stress for us, or disappointment,
Movement.
or resentment. So we have, from talking about this and from me sharing the tools with the moms in this, they'll have some more strategies. So let's just say that their birth isn't what they expected it to be, or maybe that first night when they bring baby home,
It's
they're
not.
like, this is like not what I thought it was going to be. Or it's like a couple weeks later, the relationship that they have with their partner is not what they're like, what's going on here? This is not how I planned it would be. So it's tools to not only move through those moments, in a healthier way, but also for them to respond to themselves with greater compassion. So that's one of the topics. Another is grounding and centering techniques, because we have to know these things. I mean, like in my personal opinion, we have to, because we're mom. Like when we're not right, like nobody's right. The whole household is off. That's what my husband always says. Like he's like, if you don't feel good, like nobody feels good around here. Um,
Nice.
and so like we have to be able um to bring ourselves, to a calmer place. I'm not saying that we're going to be able to, make ourselves feel great all the time and feel perfectly at ease. That's not what I'm saying. But when we have these tools to bring ourselves to have more inner peace, then we can give that to our kids. And especially like when our children aren't even able to talk yet and communicate yet, if we know how to ground ourselves and we know how our nervous systems interact, then we have extra tools for how to help center and ground and calm them too. So that's another focus. Another topic that we're covering is, as I mentioned earlier, and I saw you nodding, connecting with our own intuition and really learning to trust ourselves. And this is a topic that for me, it's like totally something that I experienced. I was so completely disconnected from my own inner knowing, because my head was so full of chatter, everybody else. And I gave it so much power, that I couldn't even hear myself anymore. And I really didn't even, not only did I not know what I thought was right, but even if I heard it, I didn't trust it. And this is something that is echoed so often, by moms who I am coaching. Just that lack of trust. I mean, let's face it, this is like the only time really in our lives that we're kind of like thrust into something and we don't have we don't have any training in it. It's just like a learn on the job, moment by moment kind of
It's
thing.
learn on the
And
job.
it can create a lot of self-doubt. Like for me, it was the first time in my life that I didn't feel confident. And like, it's like, what does that do to you, to your mindset? So learning how to connect with your own intuition and trust yourself, I think is so key. And so these are things that we're learning while while we're pregnant. They're not only applicable during pregnancy, these are things that are going to set us up for so much more success, not only in our motherhood, but like in all facets of our life. And then of course, we're talking about mindfulness and meditation. I mentioned earlier, there's the two kind of components of mindfulness. There's the more formal practice, which is where we do the meditation, and then there's the informal, everyday type of stuff. So I'm going to share strategies on how to do both, and we'll practice the mindfulness meditation in each of the sessions as well. And there's 4 sessions. So it starts March 31st. It's in the evening. It's from 8 to 9, 10 p.m. And I add those last 10 minutes on because that's really for the guided meditation, which I also record because you know what? I know that it's hard to take time. It's hard to take time for ourselves.
Yeah.
And so if you can only take an hour, because maybe then you have to do bedtime or relieve your partner or whatever it may be, that last 10 minutes, that meditation is recorded for you and it'll be sent to you. And then if you are able to stay there for the last 10 minutes, well, great, you're still getting the meditation so you can practice with it throughout the, the week or the weeks, and it's yours, for forever. So I think that's a great deal. So yeah, so it's 4 weeks, starts March 31st. And so I'm actually not sure what the last date is, but let me just quickly look it up. 1, 2, 3, 4. April 21st is the last.
It sounds incredible. I'm totally, I'm totally grateful for this resource. One of the things that you talked about is so also very kind of important to me, and you were talking about this acceptance, or whatever you want to call it, because I think acceptance sometimes, kind of your brain might lead you in a certain direction, but for me as a birth doula, and a childbirth educator, I obviously am working with expecting couples, helping them to prepare for birth, and kind of trapping yourself in this imaginary kind of situation, whether it's your birth or your postpartum or your motherhood. I mean, I experienced it, you did, right? Like we kind of see each other ourselves, being something that, the circumstances just will not lead us to that. And it's such an important part to really prepare for the fact that not only through your pregnancy, but really through your birth experience and for your parenting, right? For your motherhood, fatherhood journey, really learn that there are a lot of things that we can do to prepare and make it successful, but there are a lot of things that we just have no power to change them. They're just kind of happening around us, and learning to be able to deal with that is really, really important. And I think it is a skill. It is a true skill. And I think that's one that, me as a mom, and, my son is turning 15 tomorrow. I can't believe
birthday
it.
to him. 15
I know,
years.
and birthing day to me. It is crazy to kind of, start thinking back at, those past 16 years that just led me to where I am, and know that there were so many disappointments along the way, and so many ways I have looked at myself as a mom and felt like I failed. And now looking back at it, I know it's ridiculous and it's completely silly. I didn't need any of that. I needed to feel, as you are teaching and sharing this continuously, compassion with myself, and understand. And then another thing that you were talking about, just kind of feeling, like understanding that we're going to feel all different kinds of feels, right, through this journey, and they're all part of life. So it's not about like creating this like amazing experience. It's all, you know, sparkly dust and, you know, roses and whatever, right, like rainbows, which is fitting today because it's St. Patrick's Day. But it's normal and it's part of our life, and feeling kind of sad and disappointed sometimes, I'm assuming, is totally normal, as long as that's not how you
Absolutely.
live, right? You know,
Yep.
feeling upset with yourself, as long as you can kind of use that as a springboard, right? Just kind of be like, okay, next time I'm going to do it different. I'm going to, you know, try my best. Maybe, you know, I will succeed. And but I think those are really, really important elements that you know, I think moms and expectant parents could really, really use. So I'm super excited about this. This sounds really amazing.
Thanks, Alice. And I'm just thinking as you're talking, that these lessons, a lot of times we just think like, oh, and like for me, like I came to mindfulness, like it was really just for myself. I didn't imagine how it was going to impact my relationships, and so many other things. But the lessons that we're talking about really do feed into your parenting because, our children, they're their own people. And so if we have this expectation or this, it's wonderful to have expectations, and I think that like they can be so beneficial, and it's important to plan, of course. But if we have this envisionment or whatever of what our child's going to be, it doesn't matter if they're 21 or 21 months, when they don't meet that.
Right.
Yeah, we create distress for ourselves. It can impact our relationship. I was just like listening to a commercial. Somebody was talking about how when you're not a parent and there's a family with a child, screaming or crying at like in a restaurant, you're like, gosh, when I'm a parent,
Right.
that's not going to happen because my child's going to be blah blah blah. And then it's like then you become that parent at that restaurant. But if you still hold that expectation of this shouldn't be happening and whatever, you're going to have so much stress within yourself, and
Yeah.
that's going to impact everything. So these are life lessons to take
Yes.
with you, and how beautiful is it if you can learn it before baby is even born, because then everybody gets to benefit, like right from the get-go, which I just think is like really amazing. And that's like what I love about the work that I get to do, because not only do I get to support moms, because I do one-on-one coaching in addition to the groups that I hold, but when I'm coaching a mom, I'm not only getting to impact her, but I'm impacting like the whole family and
Right.
her children and like the future, which is really amazing, because that's what we as parents, we have so much power, to impact our children and the way that their lives unfold.
Yeah, what an incredible work you're doing. It is absolutely amazing. So now, before we finish, because don't want to keep you all night, so this new series is for expecting moms, preparing to welcome a baby. What do you
Yes.
have for new moms? Because you mentioned it, and I know you're running some other options for moms that already have babies. Just share with us some of those resources so we can just share that out.
Okay,
Like
great.
anybody who wants
So
to join.
wonderful. So I run the Mindful Mom Circle, which is a beautiful group of women who are just growing in mindfulness, motherhood, friendship. It's really compassionate. It's a place to come if you want to be real, if you want to feel supported and connected and learn some mindfulness along the way. So we meet. We have one more meeting this month, March 25th. That's at 8:30. And then I have the calendar up on my website, which maybe we can link so people can go visit to see the dates. But we're meeting 3 times in April, 2 times in the evening, 1 time in the afternoon. Same thing in May. we're meeting 3 times, 2 times in the evening, time in the afternoon, and then in June, same thing, which is kind of nice because there's a little variety, whether you're a working mom or you're a working from home mom, or you're whatever's going on,
Right.
whatever kind of mom, hopefully you can kind of make it work, and that's really great. And plus, I always have my one-on-one practice, which for me is like where I see the most transformation in moms. Because when I'm working with a mom one-on-one, we're talking about how to bring this mindfulness piece, this compassion, this self-care into their lives in a way that really does work for them. Uh, so it's catered to you, and that really is a place where I see so many benefits, and plus, I'll be, before going on my maternity leave, over the summer, I will be starting a program that's really more of like a, kind of like a do it on your own timeline kind of thing, when it comes to learning how to be that calm mom that you want to be. So there's lots of different things, and you can learn more about those programs and some of my other offerings that I have at different times of year on my website. I'll share it right. I'll just tell you what it is, but we can also put it in the notes.
Definitely.
www.LLBWC.com. And you can also follow me on Instagram at LiveLoveBeWell. And there's links to all of my stuff. And there's just a lot of great mom inspiration there too. And you can also join my Facebook group, Alice. That's a great place for people to connect as well. And things are posted there. That's the Mindful Moms of New Jersey. You don't have to be in New Jersey to be part of it. I have moms from all over who are part of it. But yeah, I try to, every week I do a micro Zen, and try to share some mindful mom inspiration in there as well. So yeah.
Oh my gosh. So inspiration, that's one more thing that I do want to comment on, because that's something that keeps coming up all the time, over and over, in my groups that I run, my postpartum, prenatal groups, and then new mom groups as well, where, the repetitive, negative kind of viewpoint, right, on your health and on your pregnancy and on everything, it just continuously undermines your trust in yourself.
Yeah.
So the constant reminders that I see on your page are just a beautiful way to just kind of get your brain really just kind of like happy and rejuvenated. So I think we will post all of these under our live, so everybody can find that. This was beautiful. Stephanie, thank you so much for coming and chatting with me. I'm sure we'll be back soon, even though with your baby on the way, who knows? I definitely feel we should create something together. I think it would be just a beautiful collaboration of us, even though we collaborate all the time, but maybe we can kind of get together and come up with something really fun that could be really great. I would love that, but
I would love that too.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alice, for inviting me on.
Oh my goodness, my pleasure as always. Stephanie, thank you so much. Congratulations on the little baby and coming, and on the new class and everything. So take care of yourself, please. And we'll be back sometime soon.
That sounds great. Thanks, Alice.
All right. Good night.